Welcome to Divine Love Talk with Dr. Parthenia Grant, where we talk about health, well-being, and the love of the divine that exists in all of us. Now, here's your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant.
Thank you for joining us once again on Divine Love Talk with the divine, Dr. Sarah Larsen at drsarahlarsen.com. We have our just amazing expert on the ego and spirituality, Kim Michaels from transcendencetoolbox.com, joining us on Skype from Estonia. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you, thank you.
And today we have an exciting lineup with the founder. Renee DePalma is here, and she is the founder of the World Interfaith Harmony Film Festival. And we are going to be talking about how to cultivate compassion through using art as a means of salvation. And Dr. Sarah, I wanted you to start this out.
I'm starting with the dictionary definition of art, and it's the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as a painting or a sculpture, producing work to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. And whenever I connect to art, for me, it's an experience if I connect to it emotionally, if it moves me and leaves me changed somehow.
And so it's such a broad definition. And Renee, what you're doing with this film festival is you have all these incredible films that I went through, and you're linking it with what date? There's something special that's going on. Tell the audience.
Well, the film festival is going to be held February 6th through 10th of this year in conjunction with the World Interfaith Harmony Week that the United Nations proclaimed in 2010.
How about that?
Yes.
It's fantastic. So it's specifically chosen for that first week in February so that we can link that to the United Nations hope that we have events in the Los Angeles area that bring people together to promote compassion, cooperation, and kindness from different faith traditions and from different points of view in countries around the world.
And what a concept. I want to bring Kim Michaels in on this discussion. Kim, what do you think about, we talk about religion all the time and how it's always fighting amongst itself as my religion is the one and the only one, and this whole concept now of through film and art bringing together all of these different diverse religions. So Kim, take that one.
Well, I think it's a wonderful idea. I mean, obviously, as we have talked about several times on the show, religion really should not be a dividing factor. It should bring us all together because it should bring us closer to the source that we all came from.
How about that?
And that's one of the things about nature. Nature unifies. Naturally, nature combines.
It's so true.
And so we, as part of nature, are meant to unify all that we create through the arts, as well as through emotionally and in every area of our life.
Well, and I remember when we went to that peace pilgrimage on Mount Baldy, I just thought, what an appropriate place to actually have a peace summit on a mountain, and all of these people gathered together from every faith and every denomination. I just love that concept. And it is 2013. And I think it's kind of time for us to come together. Kim, do you have any other comment you want to add to? I want to move into cultivating compassion and how we can do that through art. Any suggestions?
Well, I think it's only the ego that has turned religion into this divisive factor. And I think really that religion should be a tool for helping us go beyond the ego. And so when it doesn't do that, there's obviously something we need to look at. And I think art has the potential, obviously, to also take us beyond ego because it gives us an experience that is more than what we can deal with just the ego and the analytical mind. And I think that's a wonderful avenue.
Well, thank you for that. And we also have another special guest accompanying us. And would you introduce her?
Oh, absolutely. Reverend Doris Davis is the Southern California Committee of the Parliament of World Religions.
Ooh.
That's here joining us. And we had the most interesting discussions already today. So.
And she was so kind to just come in front of the camera because she was really just here supporting Renee. And we were having this comment about art and ascended masters and how they have such an amazing sense of humor. And one of your teachings, Kim, on Transcendence Toolbox is about joy and how we are here to experience joy and how a sense of humor can really get us there. And then you popped in with this little comment. Would you share that?
Well, joy is a sure sign of the presence of God.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And you were asking me about, or you were mentioning Ascended Masters. I said, I popped in and said, do you know the name of the Ascended Master?
I thought it was hilarious.
She thought it was hilarious, but I don't think so. It's Fun Way.
All right.
Fun Way.
And can you give us just another tidbit about Fun Way? Joy, and there was something else. Oh, well, I believe so. But Kim, I do notice that the whole thing about having a sense of humor. Could you add something to compassion and having a sense of humor about our ego? Because our ego can be such an idiot in terms of dividing us.
Yeah, well, one of the well-known Ascended Masters is El Moya, or Master Moore, and he was embodied as the British man Thomas More, who was fairly known as the Lord Chancellor. And he used to say back in that embodiment himself that if you laugh at the devil, he runs away.
Hello.
And and I think it's a really important concept because the ego does make us take ourselves incredibly seriously.
Really?
And really, honestly, I have met some people on the spiritual path who were the most serious people I have ever met anywhere.
And I think that, like as a teacher on a college level, and I'm teaching English and critical thinking, and the poor students come in there and they're so beat down anyway and scared of English, and then I come in and I make it fun, and they're like, whoa, seriously? It could be fun? And I just think everything should be fun. And so as I was going through your website, and let's give the website for the audience for the film festival.
Yes, of course, and please keep in mind that the whole point of the festival is to have fun. We're bringing people together from all over the United States and all over the world to come together and share film and have a good time, and so this is the point. And the website is www.worldinterfaithharmonyfilmfestival.com.
That's a mouthful. Say it one more time.
worldinterfaithharmonyfilmfestival.com.
Wow. And Dr. Sarah and I will be there having fun.
We will, and we'll be speaking on a panel as well. And so we're looking forward to, if you want to come meet us, and Renee DePalma, who put this film festival together. It's incredible to bring all these films and all these people and all these locations together for the purpose. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, to keep in mind that we're really following the United Nations resolution, which was put together in order to promote a culture of peace. And what the United Nations says is that if we encourage dialogue and people coming together and interacting together, having breakfast together, enjoying film together, laughing together, then we can get to know each other in a way that will take the veils down and provide an opportunity for us to just get to know each other as people. And so that's what the festival is all about.
The term that I like to use and get my students familiar with is xenophobia. And it's fear of anything that's foreign or different. And when I encourage students to get to know their classmates of different cultures, just by doing something as simple as just going to one of their cultural events, listening to some of their music, how about eating their food and their dance, and then all of a sudden it's bridged, the fear of this foreign person, and it doesn't make sense to be afraid of what is different or what is foreign, but the reaction for the ego is to want to attack what is different or what is foreign and to try to put it down. And what you guys are doing with this film festival is you're celebrating the differences. And what I see, and one of the films that I'm definitely going to see is, what's it called, Finding Joe?
Finding Joe, yes.
Joseph Campbell.
That's Patrick Sullivan's movie, yes. And this, by the way, was his first movie as a director. He's a commercial director, but this was his first feature documentary debut. So he did a fantastic job following the mythology of Joseph Campbell and providing us with a way to look inside of ourselves a little more deeply. It's a fantastic movie playing on Saturday night at 8 p.m.
Thank you. And I want to encourage people to definitely come out and see that particular film, because a lot of young people do not know how instrumental Joseph Campbell has been in Hollywood in terms of the hero's journey. Without him, there would have been no Star Wars.
Yes.
You know, there's so many amazing directors who follow the hero's journey as laid out by Joseph Campbell. But what made me fall in love with him was him studying all of the world religions, and he said this one thing, and I said, amen. He said, everybody tends to look at the differences between the three major religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and they see the differences, but they never look at how similar they are. They are so alike. And the one little thing that I saw about the film, it said that it's celebrating his work as a narrative on how to live a fully realized life. How about that?
And that meaning being the hero in your own life.
Yes.
Standing up
and heroin.
And heroin, right. Thank you.
To really stand up and have all the tools already laid out for you. This is the first step. This is the second step. And I think the movie does a great job of highlighting that and connecting that to your own personal journey that you're on.
So that film is Saturday night. Okay, this event is February 6th through the 10th, and Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it's at the Skirball Center. And then on Saturday and Sunday, it's at the where?
It's at the Iman Center.
Spell that.
It's Iman, I-M-A-N Cultural Center, and we did this on purpose. If you take a look at the whole festival...
You said it's on Sepulveda?
It's on, actually, Motor Avenue, just south of National Boulevard.
Oh, so it's in Culver City.
It is in Culver City,
all right.
Yes. The Skirball is, of course, up next to the Getty Center. That's right, but the Iman is right on Motor Avenue.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to encourage my students, please go out and see this film. You will fall in love with Joseph Campbell and embrace his work. And one of the things that Joseph Campbell talks about is the power of myth and how we can use myth to empower us. And Kim, I want to bring you in on the discussion about but the hero's journey and us becoming our own hero, because we tend to look outside of ourselves for heroes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, say that again. I missed it.
Okay, I'm sorry. What I would like for you to address is how, the ego tends to make us look outside of ourselves for heroes, and how we can become our own hero.
I'm sorry, I missed it. But yeah, this is exactly the effect. I mean, we think with the ego that we always have to get something from outside of ourselves, because the ego obviously makes us feel we're incomplete.
Yes.
And so I believe many of these old myths, whether it's the ones Joseph Campbell is talking about and the ones we see elsewhere, is precisely to describe that we all have this potential to find what we need inside ourselves. And I really think also that's one of the differences between the outer, more formal religions and the mystical religions that kind of run as a hidden thread behind the outer religions.
Okay.
You talked about the three major monotheistic religions, and they all three have mystical branches.
Okay.
And once you go to the mystical branch, you have unification of these principles.
All right. So you are listening to Divine Love Talk on CRN with Dr. Parthenia Grant. We have in-house today Renee DePalma. Okay, with, very quickly,
the World Interfaith Harmony Film Festival.
And we'll have more of that when we come back from commercial break. And the website, very quickly.
www.worldinterfaithharmonyfilmfestival.com.
All right. Thank you. Okay. You're back listening to Divine Love Talk on CRN with Dr. Parthenia Grant and my amazing co-host, Dr. Sarah Larsen with drsarahlarsen.com, and my expert on spirituality and the ego, who is also our co-host, Kim Michaels, joining us from Estonia, and he's with TranscendenceToolbox.com. And our special guest today, tell them the name of the film festival again. Give the website.
It's www.worldinterfaithharmonyfilmfestival.com. And it's being held February 6th through 10th here in Los Angeles.
And there's something special that's happening Saturday. What date is that?
That is Saturday, February 8th. It's our Children's, Family, and Community Day.
All right. And so what you got lined up?
Well, the neat thing about it is that we have free children and family screenings from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. that day.
How about that? And who's sponsoring some of that?
Well, it's a generous gift from Spirit Clips, which is owned by Hallmark. And they've created a couple hours of free programming that is completely family approved. So we're offering this to the youth all over the Los Angeles area to come and enjoy with their parents, with their youth groups, with their church and spiritual communities, free film screenings from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
So, and I understand that you do have one-day passes that people can get online so that they can have access to all of the free stuff, or how is that working on Saturday?
Well, what's great is there's two things. First, Saturday, February 9th is completely free from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
They don't need
to have a pass. They just come, they show up. There's no ticket required. Just come to the door, and you'll be cordially invited in to watch those free screenings.
Thank you for that clarification.
Clips. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And they're heartwarming films. And just my kids learn so much whenever they watch films.
Yes.
They tend to rewire the brain and really enjoy interacting with and there is an 11-year-old that's made a film and a 12-year-old that's being featured as well.
Yeah, what's neat about Saturday morning is that we also offer in competition youth films.
Okay.
Youth Voices of Harmony, which is what we're calling
important.
it. So we have a couple of films. One is called An Interfaith Carol, which is screening at 11:35 a.m. by the First Drops Interfaith Youth Group. And the second film is called What You Say Can Hurt Us, and that's also by First Drops Youth Group. And so these are young people that have made their own movies that are going to be able to screen and do Q&A and be producers and directors just like the rest of the adults.
And my kids love interacting with filmmakers because that's part of their, oh my gosh, it's on the screen.
Sure.
And here's the person.
When
the person is 11, 12 years old, they're not looking at a big giant.
How about that?
They're looking at and feeling like, wow, if he can do it, she can do it. I can do it too.
Well, you know what that reminds me of, and Kim, I want to bring you in on this, is the line that says, and a child will lead them all. And I believe that we as adults should honor and respect the intelligence and the gifts of children and allow them to teach us to become more childlike. And unfortunately, many of us, when we're in our ego, we become childish instead of childlike. So, Kim, could you address that scripture?
Yeah, I mean, Jesus said it himself. He said, unless you become as little children, you shall not enter the kingdom.
Right.
But there's also a concept that's very similar in Zen Buddhism when they talk about beginner's mind.
Yes.
And the way I've always looked at that is that we need to really step back from this ego game or trying to be so serious and trying to have the absolute truth and the only truth.
One way.
Yeah, there's only one way to do things, and we actually have to realize, if you look at science, there's a concept called the Second Law of Thermodynamics, which basically says that any closed system will self-destruct.
Sure will.
And what the ego does, it turns our minds into closed systems.
Yes.
And if a lot of people are in the ego, our whole group, our whole society becomes a closed system, and things start breaking down. And all of a sudden, we can't find solutions to our problems. And the only way to snap out of that is to take a fresh look with a pure mind, the innocent mind of the child.
And I think that this film festival on Saturday is an excellent way for us to do that, to honor our children, and they are the future, and to allow them to lead the way for us and back to ourselves. So when we come back from commercial break, there are a lot of other films that I picked out that I want to talk about, and I also want to touch on the goal of the film festival. We've kind of talked about it a little bit. So you are listening to Divine Love Talk on CRN with Dr. Parthenia and Dr. Sarah Larsen and Kim Michaels, and you can find all of our videos at Dr. Parthenia, DOCTOR, Parthenia.com. And just go back and look at them over and over again. So thank you for joining us today, and come back after commercial break, and we will introduce you to more amazing films that I'm very excited about at this film festival. Okay, you're back with Divine Love Talk on CRN with Dr. Parthenia Grant, my co-host, Dr. Sarah Larsen, and my co-host, Kim Michaels. And today we're talking about cultivating compassion through art as a means of salvation. And we have here, say your name one more time.
Renee DePalma.
Renee DePalma. I didn't want to butcher it. And what's the name of the film festival again?
The World Interfaith Harmony Film Festival.
That will be taking place February 6th through 10th at the Skirball Center and the
Iman Center in Culver City, IMAN on Motor Avenue.
On Motor Avenue. Now, the goal of the festival is to cultivate a culture of peace through dialogue and inspirational, spiritually based films. And, you know, spiritual is different than religious. You know, there's no dogma. Spirituality is inclusive, that enhance mutual understanding and cooperation, that enlighten and empower individuals, families, and communities to overcome the darkness of ignorance, conflict, violence, and divisiveness, and replace it with the light of communication, tolerance, how about that, understanding, and compassion. And so you have all of these independent filmmakers who are striving to make a difference by creating films that have themes that deal with peace, nonviolence, social justice, and environmental harmony, and that we are all sharing this one planet. We are all one race, the human race. We're all one family, and we are stewards and guardians of this planet, and it's time that we start acting like it, and including the animals and the children and, you know, the elementals, the trees, everything. So these films are really, really exciting to me. And we have Dr. Doris Davis, who had a very cogent comment during the break about art as a means of salvation that I wanted Dr. Davis to share with us.
Reverend Davis.
Reverend
Well,
Davis.
actually, it is Reverend Doctor.
Reverend Dr. Davis. And what's the name of the organization?
Southern California Committee of the Parliament of World Religions, and I understand they call you the grandmother of interfaith.
Wow, about that. I love it.
Well, art as a means of salvation, truly art is a catalyst for the evolution of the human spirit.
I believe that.
And what happens in drama, what happens in film, is that you have an opportunity for healing.
A catharsis.
A catharsis, exactly. Yes. For the healing power of drama is, as the Greeks realized, truly great and essential to our soul and our spirit.
And our salvation.
And our salvation.
And that's one of the reasons why people flock to the movies.
Absolutely.
And you know, I think there's way too much shoot 'em up, bang, bang violence, domination, kill, 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 and stimulation of the senses, and not enough documentaries and dramas that literally do inspire the soul. And I'm going to move into some more of the films that I picked out. And there's so many others. One of them is The Shift of the Ages. And would you care to tell us why you like that one?
Well, Shift of the Ages is our opening night movie playing on Wednesday, February 6th. So what's neat about this film is that it's very timely. It reveals the story of Mayan culture and the sophisticated prophecies that everybody focused on in December of 2012. But this film goes beyond and kind of takes us down that journey and lets us know why the Mayans were communicating to this and how this relates relevantly to our times today and where we're going in the future.
And people kind of overlook the fact that the Mayans were talking about there's a timetable for the evolution of human consciousness, that there's a time period for us to move beyond the ego and into unity consciousness. And Kim, I know you have something to say about that.
Well, yes, I think it is the time to do that. And I think it's wonderful when films are part of that. I was thinking about your comment about what has happened to film and with the shoot 'em up. And I think one of the worst things that happens to movies is actually the computer, because now you see so many movies that are focused on special effects instead of the human element and the actors. You know, you have some great actors, but they never get allowed to say anything because it's all special effects and running and shooting.
Seriously, and it's just too much overstimulation and not enough inspiration. So come out to this film festival and you will be inspired. Now, the first one that jumped out at me, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, is Yangsi, Y-A-N-G-S-I, and the subtitle is Reincarnation is Just the Beginning, and it's actually a documentary about this little 4-year-old Tibetan master. He's the reincarnation of this Buddhist master, and they put him was it the throne or power at 4 years old. He came here pretty much fully realized, and I'm just fascinated to see what he has to say. And I think he's about 14 now. I don't remember his age, but definitely gotta go see that one. Did you have something?
I just wanted to add, reincarnation for some people winds up being such a stretch of the mind.
Oh, of course.
But energy's never created or destroyed.
Right?
And so the energy that you are, the being that you are, was never created or destroyed, and it is as old as time.
Absolutely.
And it's here really at this time on purpose to really connect with all of these new ideas to some and really, really old ideas to many.
Well, thank you for pointing that out, because you are right. It just kind of scares people. But when I look at why would you, or how could you actually wrap your head around believing that this is all there is, that we got 70, 80 years and bam, that's it. And there's nothing after this. That's a very, very limited concept of life. And the ego just likes to put everything in these little bitty boxes, in the same way that I've always marveled at how people could think that we are the only sentient life in the universe. And when you consider how small we are in terms of consciousness, that's scary to think that we would be the only sentient life in the universe. I would hope that we would want to believe that there are other beings out there that are more evolved than us, because we need all the help we can get. Kim, I know you have something.
If we were the only intelligent beings in the universe, we would obviously have blown up the entire universe.
Hello.
There's got to be somebody looking after it.
Thank God.
So I also think this reincarnation is important for interfaith dialogue, because reincarnation was actually part of all of the 3 major Western religions in their early days.
That's right.
Most Christians don't realize that it was deliberately taken out in the 6th century from Christianity, and it was done for political reasons that are no longer relevant.
That's true.
So this is something we need to look at, because if we can reestablish some awareness of reincarnation in the 3 monotheistic religions, there is a bridge to all of the Eastern religions, which have taught this for thousands of years.
And how fun to see it on a film and understand it and allow it to move you into a new realization in a documentary film of an entire population that is connected to this. What a fun way to do it.
Right. And I sometimes get so sad when I look at America, and we're supposed to be leading the world, and our paradigm is so small. It's so limited, and it won't leave room for all of these other ideas. And there's this huge, the Tea Party, and these fundamentalists who are like, everybody else, kill, get rid of them. And it's scary that we won't allow ourselves to move beyond that and come together. we're a nation that ended up, being, everybody is here. I mean, we should be embracing this before anybody else. So I'm so happy you guys are doing this.
And traveling the world perspective, my teachings and all of that have brought me around the world, my learning, being born in Pakistan, in another country, and coming to the U.S. and seeing the U.S. perspective of things and the way that we look at the news. A lot of the things that we learn here drive us in this one direction of centering on ourselves.
Yes, and narcissism and consumerism.
Right, within... And we are consciously now bringing filmmakers in from around the world.
Interfaith.
And it's being brought to you here in Los Angeles. And through all the people showing up, the filmmakers, Los Angeles is now being shared with all the people that are going back out.
How about that? And see, that segues nicely into the other film that I'm very excited about called American Empire. and the whole point is that it's looking at all of the things that we're doing, that, we're harming our population with GMO foods when the rest of the world pretty much has banned it. And the fluoride in the water, we're dumbing our population down and we're making them sick, and our world policies. And the film is really saying, just like the British Empire, the sun did set on it, we might be not able to sustain this kind of mentality. So I'm very excited. You had something you were going to say about that.
Well, American Empire is playing on Friday night at 5:30 at the Skirball Center, and director Oliver Stone had a very similar opinion that you did. Basically, he said that this film is very thought-provoking. It makes you think, and we really need to pay attention to what's going on. So the film debuted at the Abu Dhabi Film Festival, and the Huffington Post wrote it up, and it's being called the most controversial film of the year. So I would, if you have any indication...
That's why you need to go see it.
And it sort of really looks at environmental harmony in a unique way, saying, we're responsible, and we want you to become aware of what's going on around us so that we can begin to take responsibility and participate in having a more environmentally harmonious planet.
And let's be American, okay, and look at ourselves honestly. How about that?
Yes.
And look at ways that we can improve ourselves and be better, and not just say that we're the best, but how about be the best? Let's just walk our walk.
And the Dalai Lama talks about being, for us, we can bring peace. It's the women of the West. It's here.
And look, a bunch of women in the room.
Right. And we wake up every day with so many choices. We wake up and we can choose how we're going to appear, who we're going to connect with, what films we're going to see. And this is one of the things that we take for granted, that most of the world doesn't have these choices. And unless you consciously bring yourself to a little bit higher version of yourself, or a little bit more connected to all the people that are working on this, you can expand yourself that way.
I agree. And I've always believed that artists, and I am a writer, that we have a responsibility to inspire and uplift. And if I'm going to write something, the book I'm finally getting ready to release has taken me 8 years now. Oh my God. Okay, but I feel like I can't let it go until I have given everything that I can in terms of inspiring and uplifting and guiding and directing based on what I've learned. And you don't have to make my mistakes, okay? Because I've laid them out for you. And there's so much that we can do with art in order to inspire people. And there are enough films out there that you waste your money on that don't make you feel good when you get out of it. It's like, okay. And then you can, invest a little bit of money, go to this entire film festival, see all of them, and move out of there with a new paradigm shift and focused and ready to do your part to be the light that's going to change the world. Now, another one very quickly. Go ahead.
Oh, and I just want to talk about the money because you touched on it.
All
it's
right.
Saturday is free,
Right.
so anyone can show up, and that's a great way to be entertained. But it's about $125 for a weekend pass, and
for the whole pass.
For a whole pass,
If they do it by what date?
Well, we've got this great thing called the Cinema Pass, and we priced it so that we could actually bring people to the festival and they can afford to come. It's $129, and it allows access to all 5 days, meaning they can come and watch all movies all 5 days. But it's not just that. They also get all the workshops, all the panel discussions, all the events, receptions, parties, a brunch on Saturday. They get invited to the VIP reception on Sunday night, and the awards program if they want to come.
Yes.
So that's $129. That brings it down to about $20 a day to just come enjoy everything, so that we can basically have this opportunity to create a culture of peace in Los Angeles.
And what an investment in the future.
Absolutely.
That was very beautifully said. So now another film that I loved it's called What on Earth? And it's about crop circles. Well, I've seen a lot of stuff on crop circles, and they really fascinate me because they're so intricate and geometric, and I see them and I'm like, come on. I mean, we can't do that kind of stuff that precisely. I know something's up. There's a message there. And so when I read the description, I said, oh my goodness. So finally someone is doing a documentary, that's actually scientific and metaphysical and spiritual, and I want to see that. What were you going to say, Renee?
Well, this is directed by Suzanne Taylor, and it's so intelligently done. It opens the possibilities to what this wonderful, mysterious phenomenon known as crop circles really can be, and just it gives us an opportunity to explore this. And you actually get to also visually take a look at these crop circles and see them up close on film, and give yourself a chance to understand why they're so mysterious and dynamic. And it's a phenomenally beautiful movie.
And when is that one?
That's going to be on Thursday night at 7:48 p.m. Up at the Skirball Center, which is unique because Thursday is celebrating Women in Cinema Evening.
Ooh.
And Suzanne's a part of that. She's a woman filmmaker and has done an incredible job, really thought-provoking job, looking outside the box at this crop circle phenomena.
And the Skirball Center is such a cool place.
Yes.
For this kind of festival. Now, another one that I like is called The Time Is Now. And it's about ordinary people with extraordinary crisis that they have overcome. And one of the things, and I'm going to pull Kim in on this. We're getting ready to go into commercial break. But Kim, when we come back, I want you to talk a little bit about how the ego, when we get in crisis, it does not go into problem-solving mode. It worsens the problem. And how we can move out of that. You're listening to Divine Love Talk on CRN with Dr. Parthenia Grant. And what's the website for the film festival?
It's World Interfaith Harmony Filmfestival.com. Come have a great time with us.
All right. And you can find us at Dr. DOCTOR Parthenia.com, and you can catch all of the podcasts of the show. Thank you. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, you're back with Divine Love Talk on CRN with Dr. Parthenia Grant at drparthenia.com. And we are here with Ellen. What's the website, very quickly?
World Interfaith Harmony Filmfestival.com.
And we got one more film that we're going to talk about. And Kim, I'm bringing you in on how the ego keeps us in chaos. And in 1 minute, can you address that one?
Yeah, because the ego always tries to solve a problem with the exact same state of consciousness that created the problem. And that is what Albert Einstein said we cannot do. And so the ego is stuck in a track, and when it creates a contradiction, and when that contradiction becomes a problem, it can only keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, which is Einstein's definition of insanity. And so the ego can't do anything else. It's like a computer. It will keep doing the same thing until it breaks down and you say, I've had enough.
And so what would be the solution to moving out of that craziness?
Well, it's like we talked about before. You have to find a different way to look at the problem. And that means you have to step outside of this perception that the ego has created. The ego creates a definition of the problem that just isn't correct.
Okay.
So you have to have that beginner's mind or the childlike mind.
Okay. Well, and I believe that these films can move us into a different perspective and a different consciousness. And the other film that I wanted to mention, I did see Blue Jewel, and it has some wonderful things about saving the planet and being in harmony with the planet. So I would like to encourage you guys to come out and see Blue Jewel. But I also I'm going to end on Heart of a Murderer, and it's a film about forgiveness. And this man who actually murdered a nun, I think the family is bringing that person in and embracing the murderer. What a concept! We've talked a lot about forgiveness here, and that is one of the paths to liberation and salvation is through forgiveness, and the ego definitely does not want us to forgive. So, Dr. Sarah.
Oh, and this family is coming from Italy for this festival, and there are people coming.
The woman who was murdered, the nun who was murdered?
No, the two filmmakers, actually. That's Catherine McElroy and Renato Spaventa are coming all the way from Italy to actually discuss this forgiveness, this movie that they made with everybody.
Do this one. Okay.
Yeah, and grace. I mean, forgiveness is really giving someone grace.
Yes.
And grace really is getting something which is undeserved.
Yes, and you don't have to merit it.
Yes.
And we do a lot of dumb things. We might not be a murderer per se, but sometimes we commit soul murder towards other people by, just not acknowledging them. And so we want to be forgiven. So it's a gift that we're giving ourselves.
And we pray that the indigenous people will find it in their hearts to forgive us.
Don't we? We really should ask that. Thank you. And so I'm sure there's a thought that you would like to leave the audience with today about the film festival.
Well, I just want to point out that people are coming from all around the globe and all across the United States to come to Los Angeles to be together and look at films as a way to connect with one another. And so it's going to be a fantastic time, but it's really about creating relationships and providing that space to do it. So come on out and really come have a good time with us at the film festival.
And create some joy. You've been listening to Divine Love Talk on CRN with Dr. Sarah Larsen at drsarahlarsen.com, with Kim Michaels at Transcendence Toolbox. And the film festival again?
Renee DePalma with the World Interfaith Harmony Film Festival. It's going to be a joyful time.
Yes.
And you can find us at drparthenia.com. We love you so much, and thank you for tuning in to Divine Love Talk on CRN.
Thanks.